Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this country on which we meet again and again and again. From the past to the present, the fighters before me, our foremothers, our forefathers. If it wasn't for the strong men that stood up, you wouldn't have strong women behind them. I'd like to call up Uncle Harry, Uncle Maury, Auntie Mitch, Auntie Rosie or Nala Cunoth. I can see you sitting over there. Come up over here, don't wave at me. Coming up? Where is she coming up? Yeah. The people who I have called out not long ago are at the forefront of the Australian policies today which target Aboriginal people once again. In the past, people have struggled and fought for our social services, fought for accommodation and housing. We fight today for the same thing. I was looking at a picture the other day which stated land rights, not leases. 2012. We are still fighting for land rights and not leases. We are the first peoples of this country. This is a first world country, multicultural society, and yet Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders are still at the bottom of the ladder today. We still have to fight for what we believe in, for what we want. It's their obligation to make sure that we have our rights in this country. There's 46 articles to say that I have rights in this country. They support it now, but they didn't support it back in 2007 when it got passed through the General Assembly in 2007, September 30. Do we still stand and say enough is enough? We say enough is enough every time we gather, every time when something happens. I tell you what, back home in my town, that's what they're using against us. We will always be at the front of everything. We don't neglect our families, we don't neglect our culture. It is us that we have to protect. We protect our families, we protect our culture, we make sure our children carry on our traditions. I came from ceremonies. I spent a week and a half out in the bush dancing and cooking all night for my brother. And people cannot say to me back home, I don't know nothing. Because I was taught by the best. I was taught by my great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers, my grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers, fathers. I don't just have my immediate family. I've got the extended. And I could be related to one of yous, or all of yous. You know, we're all brothers and sisters under the one sun. Isn't that right? Yeah. We all come from one country. This is my crew. I do what I do because it's people like Auntie Rosie, who is an elder in our communities, or people like Uncle Harry. These people, and Murray Ryan, these are the people that carry on our traditions. They're the ones that pass it down. 4 years I've been fighting the intervention. And then they announced that they're going to have another intervention for 10 years. We've had an intervention for 200 years. Why would we want it again for another 10 years? We know what we want for our people. You know, just like the redhead, Uncle Lyle said, they don't know nothing about us. I stopped the Prime Minister in her tracks to give her a piece of paper. She looked at me and goes, "Hello, Barbara," and I've never met her in my life. You know, the police were there, but lucky I went to school with a couple of policemen that were there. They just let me go. But we got to do it again and again and again. And when will enough be enough? Only Jenny Munro said a couple of months ago over in Townsville, we got to get on the inside. Beat the enemy at their game on the inside. And I made a difference in the 2010 federal elections running for the Greens. 12.6 swing against Labor, and I nearly kicked his ass too. And they admitted, the Labor Party in the Northern Territory admitted that they lost the votes because of the intervention in the Shire councils. Members of Parliament in the Northern Territory rely on the Aboriginal vote. And I tell you what, this little black girl took a lot of votes away from them. This year will mark a lot of elections around the country. We need to make sure we get in there. Take the votes away from them. You know, some may not agree with me, their voting is the way, but it's our right, it's our voice. We need to get our voices into the system, beat them at their own game. So, Auntie Mitch, Uncle Murray, Uncle Larry, Auntie Rosie, my sister-in-law, Nala, they're all here from the Territory, and I tell you what, they want to bite too. Auntie Rosie? Nala? So I'm going to call up Auntie Rosie.
I can't even get up there.
Sorry, I've got to take two.
I can't climb up there, it's too high. In sitting down and seeing the crowd on the lawn and thinking back 40 years, 40 years of struggle, we have, I believe, honed the knowledge of who we are. And today, sitting over yonder, I heard the roll call of those that were involved right at the beginning. The people who have now passed on, and just listening to them and thinking of the plight of the first Australians, this Australia Day still brings a lot of pain. Today we're talking with each other, we're reminiscing about the struggles that we've had. I would have loved it if from Darwin right through to Tasmania that we were all together. I am at the moment, until March, the mayor of one of the bush towns in the Northern Territory. Namely, the Barkly Shire, which is one of the biggest shires in landmass. But even in the third tier of government, the control is complete. The acknowledgement, goodwill shown by our government. I think this is a crying shame. It is also a heartless, uncaring attitude by those that are supposed to be representing us. I'm not the one really to get into a hype or excitement. I'm one for justice and equality. I too come from a cultural background, and I find it's a privilege to live amongst my people who are not as painfully aware as we are of the injustice that happens to us. I might be making a lot of noise here on that thing. But to be able to continue to speak your language and to be able to have the privilege of still being involved in your ceremonies in 2011 is indeed a privilege, not to be abused. I'd like to say a few words in Abbott and my language, in the Aboriginal language. 40 years lanaka, 40 years yandi angaka. Then the government up in the North Parliament and one the Palandi Ankale Warperum. This is the first language of the land of Australia. And with that, brothers and sisters, if you will excuse me, I will end it.
Uncle Harry Nelson from Yindamoo.
Oh, you're right. Sit in there. It's on the chair. You want to sit down on the chair? Huh? Yeah. You sit down on the chair? Okay. Are you right to come,
Sorry, folks. I think the age is catching up. Thank you, all the people. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owner of this beautiful country called, or place called Canberra.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Want me to give you the detail?
Yeah.
They're both in a reception at the Lobby restaurant, which is just up the corner, and Abbott's just made a statement to the press that the 10 Embassy should be pulled down. He's over there.
Our Deputy Prime Minister Tony Abbott is over there, and he's just made a statement to the press that the 10th Embassy should be pulled down. Over there! Come and say it here, Tony Abbott! I seen you stumbling out of Bojangles in Alice Springs. Come on, Tony Abbott, come over inside. Come on, we all here. Ah, you're just as bad as Howard the Coward. Standing over there in the roses. Sorry, Uncle Harry. Over at the cafe, talking to press. He just made it to the press.
Go over, you might want to go over.
Go over there. At the lobby, where lobby? Oh, sorry, in the lobby where? Lobby restaurant.
Yeah, Rose Garden inside.
Rose Garden.
Yeah, Rose Garden side.
Sorry about that interruption. You heard the results, and as usual, you can't trust white people. Well, we never did, and we weren't around when they first stumbled onto this great country of ours. But anyway, I'll make my speech short. I find the problem in negotiating with the government and other very important people that we're dealing with, mainly with land, that we have some people among us come from our own community who are on the board, the advisory board with the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, or what do you like to call it, Indigenous Affairs. I like Aboriginal Affairs, that term. They're the ones who sort of more or less been got to blame too as well, coming from us more. All the activists. Us more, not them more. I find it really disgusting and shameful that these so-called advisors to the Minister have never been to these communities, spoken, sitting around in a circle and discussing our problems. The only advice that they give the Minister is what they read in the papers. What is being read in the papers, put in the papers, like, for instance, NT News, that's the top end, and Advocate, our local news in Central Australia. But anyway, I needn't go into detail. Our other speakers will cover some of the stuff that I didn't mention. I'm pretty sure that it'll be the things that I've missed out in talking will be covered by others. So look,
Tell everybody to go over there.
I was asked to put this message across. Can everybody go over that way?
Let's go look for Tony.
Go look for Mr. Rabbit.
And Gillard.
And Gillard. And we'll come back later.
And we'll come back after.